Welcome to 5 Good Minutes. You're listening to today's inspirational message on the book of Mark with Dan Irvin.
Welcome back to the 5 Good Minutes podcast. This is Mark chapter 14 today, verses 43 through 65. And today we get to the section in Mark's 14th chapter as Jesus has been arrested. He's being led away to be crucified. Charges have been brought against him, false charges. And in this moment, there's a lot going on in these verses. And I want to hone in on one verse, seemingly perhaps insignificant verse, or maybe as you've read it or are reading it now, you might even brush over. It's verse 61, and this is right after they've brought up some of these charges against Jesus. And here's what Mark says. But Jesus remained silent and gave no answer. Jesus remained silent and gave no answer. And this took my mind back to a verse that's familiar to me, perhaps to you as well, but maybe new. This is Isaiah 53, verse 7. Isaiah says, "He was oppressed and afflicted," speaking of Jesus, "yet he did not open his mouth. He was led like a lamb to the slaughter, and as a sheep before his shears is silent, so he did not open his mouth." Hundreds of years before Jesus would be crucified and put to death, this was Isaiah's claim about Jesus, that he would be silent, like a lamb to the slaughter, a sacrificial lamb. Why was Jesus silent in this instance? And why does it matter? Two things that I hope to answer in the next few minutes. I think Jesus was silent in this instant, not because he was weak, as some may suggest, or unable to take care of himself, unable to defend himself. At any moment, I think if Jesus would have wanted to, we know from the rest of the Gospels what he did, the miraculous signs that he did, the way that he conquered death ultimately with his resurrection, that he could have brought down a legion of angels and stopped this at any moment. I don't think it was weakness that led Jesus to be silent. You know, as Jesus famously said in the Sermon on the Mount in Matthew chapter 5, as he talked about turning the other cheek to those who oppress us or those who strike us. Was he just saying, hey, whatever happens to you, don't stick up for yourself. Don't defend yourself. It's not worth it. I don't think that was the case either, because ultimately Jesus' defense was not with fists or words, but with ultimately the conquering of sin and taking care of the penalty, the sting of death. You see, anyone can fight fists with fists, words with words. I think Jesus knew that. And I think in this moment, as he's silent here, all that's going on here is not stopping. It's important to know that Jesus, throughout the crucifixion, was a volunteer. He wasn't a victim. He volunteered for this. Although it was difficult and hard, he knew what it would do for us, for me, and for you. In another way, too, I think he was showing us that this life, the life we live now, our reputation, our bank accounts, our physical health even, jobs, families, whatever it is not the most important thing about us. It doesn't define us. It's not everything. Jesus was laying all of that down, all of the worldly things that he had. His comfort in this moment was certainly on the line, and he laid it down, showing us, telling us there's something more cosmic going on here. So the fact that Jesus did this, fulfilled the prophecy, number one, that matters. That gives credibility to the rest of the book of Isaiah and all the other prophetic scriptures that point to Jesus and what he did. But it also matters because we serve a God of the Bible that was able to defeat sin, conquer death, and allow us to have a right standing with him. The penalty has been taken away. To know that we serve a God that looked at distress, hardship, discomfort head on and said, I know what it feels like. I know what it's like to be betrayed, to be humiliated. And I love you, and I'm with you in it. And we can look to Jesus in perhaps our moments of deep distress and deep anguish and know that God feels us, knows what it's like, and wants to be in a relationship with us.
Thanks for joining us here today. There's a lot of great content to explore on Orchard Hill Plus and on the Orchard Hill main feed from the weekend. Have a great day.